Did you check your standings? Is there an asterisk by your name? If so, congratulations. You have clinched playoff berth in your fantasy league. Today, waking up in the morning, of course, today's Tuesday, the 7th of December. It's a pretty nice feeling. You wake up in the morning, it's almost like Christmas. You open it, you got a present. It's a little asterisk. It feels phenomenal because it just shows you, what is it? 13 weeks have gone by and you have probably persevered enough to make a playoff berth. I just want to congratulate everybody who has made playoffs. And if you have not and have the chance to do it, hey, this is probably the last week to do it. Hopefully you are able to clutch it up, show everybody your clutch gene, drive a manual, and bring your way into a playoff berth. What's up, everybody? I am Nader. Welcome to the SleeperWire Show alongside the #1 Australian analyst, Sheahan. How you doing over there?
I'm good, man. Look, earlier this year, in the off-season, I gave myself, fuck yeah, Ben Stokes out, 4 for 29, have some of that, England. Sorry, I'm watching the cricket here. Earlier this off-season, I gave myself the moniker the #1 Australian fantasy football analyst, and it has come true because after 13 weeks, I am on top of the fantasy football down under bowl. There is a lot of experts, Australians only, rando Australians playing, and your boy, #1. Boy. 13 weeks into the season.
And of course, if you just heard that phrase being shouted, Hus is back alongside us. How you doing over there?
I am swell, man. I'm fucking swell. That's how I'm doing. I'm a little sad that we're getting closer to the end of the year. I'm not happy about that. I wish we could rewind some stuff. Wish I could make some different moves. I wish I could take back some trades. But alas, here we are. Along with you fine folk. Week 14. Week 13? Week 14.
I think we're moving on to week 14.
We're in week 14. We're week 14.
There we go. Nice job. Proud of you. So, I mean, of course, like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be the last week in a majority of leagues until playoff berths. So, of course, we're going to be here to guide you through it. If you check my DNA, if you do a DNA test, you're going to find the clutch gene there. I just have it. It's like Michael Jordan, clutch gene. He has it.
What country is that from? The from the DNA ancestry kit.
The clutch gene.
The clutch gene. That's all it is. It's just like you
Iceland.
Iceland. Ooh,
there we go. Ice in the veins. There we go.
Ice in the veins. Yeah, there we go. That's a good one, actually, Sheahan. I like that one.
Thanks, mate.
So, I mean, that's what it comes down to. You had a whole season, and it's just going to reflect all the moves that you've made this season. Of course, a lot of injuries happen throughout the year, and to use that as an excuse, in my opinion, is just an excuse. That's all it is. I don't think it's an actual reason. I don't think it's valid. It happens to everybody. Everybody has rough bye weeks. Everybody has injuries. Everybody has bad draft picks, bad trades, and all that. It's all what you do with the cookies that you've had, you know. And if they crumble, then unfortunately they crumble, and you just gotta have to make nice chocolate milk with it. Of course, on this episode, we're going to be talking about my favorite justifiable overreactions. We're going to be talking about some backups and handcuffs for you to start looking into for the playoff season, and people that actually have realistic potential to go into your starting lineup and actually have playoff impact, I should say, fantasy playoff impact. Not just a handcuff, just to have a handcuff, but at this point, they need to have startability potential if the situation arises. For example, like Alexander Madison, he is a handcuff that when Dalvin Cook is out, he is a must-start caliber type player. Like AJ Dillon, must-start caliber player. If Matt, what's his name, Devin Singletary goes down, and now you have Matt Breida and Zach Moss, they're not necessarily must-start players. You still have to kind of manage through that. And if that's going to be the case, is it realistic for you to store them on your roster as a handcuff at this point? My personal opinion, no, I don't think so. I would rather look elsewhere. But of course, that's what going to be this episode is for, and that's what we're going to be talking about it. And then, of course, the 2-minute drill at the end. Sound good, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All righty. So before we get on to the justifiable overreactions, I just do want to remind everybody to drop a follow on our Twitter at the SleeperWire Show. And of course, sign up for the Patreon. Of course, we are a fully charity stream. So whatever amount donated always goes to our Patreon charity. So of course, you can find that at the patreon.com/ SleeperWire, so you don't miss out on any type of articles, podcasts, live shows, and everything in between.
Let's do it. Justifiable overreactions. We're back on. We haven't done this for a couple of weeks.
No, if you haven't been on, and I haven't been on, unfortunately, I had a little bit of work to take care of. You had a little bit of work to take care of another week. You just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure, like me, you were listening to "When I See You Again," that song from Fast and Furious 7 on repeat until we reconvene this evening. But it's a banger. Absolute banger.
You know the song. You know the song. If you
I know the song.
Okay.
The number 7. I feel like I watched Fast until Fast 5. I skipped until the last one. I watched the last one. The last one was so ridiculous. But try to enjoy it. What are you gonna do?
5 was the only one I've ever watched out of the Fast and Furious.
Really?
Yes. And that
5, 6, 7, and 8 are good films.
Oh, so I see. Now I got to go back and watch it. So the series was pretty solid then.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't know.
There's highs and lows. This recent one was shit, but
yeah, it was really bad. It was, but I actually enjoyed it. But
5 through 8 is kind of a self-contained narrative. Like it goes across 4 movies, but like it all kind of ties together, and you're like, yeah, I buy all of this. Like the Rock's in it. It's pretty entertaining.
He cannot buy anything in Fast 9. There's nothing buyable.
Absolutely not. Anyway, we're not talking about Fast and Furious. Maybe we are. Maybe we're going to be a Fast and Furious podcast from here on out. But let's start with the biggest one so far this year. The Super Bowl this year is going to be the biggest one that's ever been played because it is going to be Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick.
That's just one of those scripts that you see in movies where it's so unlikely it's going to happen, but when it happens, it's going to be the biggest thing ever, biggest showdown. I hope for it. You know what? I don't mind it.
Like
I don't want to see
Fast
that.
and Furious films.
Not bad at all.
I don't want to see that movie.
You don't want to see it?
America doesn't want to see that. These are two teams. These are two people America hates. America hates Bill Belichick. America hates Tom Brady until he went to the Bucks, and then some people, decided, do I still hate Tom Brady, or was it just because he was on the Bucks? Like it's too much hate. And these guys are too great. They have enough greatness going on for them. If it happens, I got the Patriots though.
Yeah, that would be
wow.
I'd love to see what Belichick cooks up for Brady on the big stage.
I mean, he knows him like the back of his hand, right? Like that should be an easy game for him.
Yeah, but by the same token, Brady knows Belichick's defense too.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember you throwing the meanest slurs towards the Patriots. Now you're going to root for them?
No, I wouldn't root for them. I'm just saying I think that they would win. Fuck the Patriots.
Okay. All right.
Who do you want to see in the Super Bowl then?
I want to see the Giants and the Bills.
Good luck.
You're talking about far-fetched narratives.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you asked me who I wanted to see. You didn't ask me how realistic.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
I would rather, like the
Realism.
Giants versus the Jets. That way, maybe they'll actually win it, but nah.
No, I mean, I'll be happy with, just like when the New England was there, I was just happy that the Giants were there. I didn't think we were going to make shit. I didn't think we were going to win. I was like, I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Somebody invited me to a party. I'm rooting for the Giants. I'm in New England is when it happened, when we won. Everything's just bonus after that. You get there, you're not expecting to win a championship. You're like 9 and whatever we were.
Just got to get yourself in the conversation, and then anything can happen.
You never know when your penis is going to get touched. You just have to be there you got to be in the room.
I really hope you know when that happens.
Yeah,
sometimes you don't know. You could be talking to like a guy, and you're thinking he has your confidence, and he touches your penis.
All right. Moving on.
Justifiable overreaction number 2. You never know when your penis is going to get touched.
This is true.
Jalen Waddle has had a better season than Jamar Chase.
This is true.
He has a more consistent season.
He's had a better season.
Shoot, now I need to look up the stats. See what you got me doing.
Got you working and shit.
Yeah, how dare you? Okay, so let's see. So let's see. Right now, Jalen Waddle, 86 receptions, 849 yards, 4 touchdowns.
You let us see it.
Those are some solid games. You can't complain about those games. That's a solid season so far. I would put that near wide receiver 1 territory. I think the touchdown count is a little bit low for that. And then when I go to the Bengals, let's find them real fast. Cincinnati Bengals, there we are. And then we look at Jamar Chase. He's rocking 55 receptions, so about 20 receptions less. But he has 958 yards. He has another 200 yards on him and 8 touchdowns. So he did double the touchdowns.
He did that on the first half of the season.
Yep.
He has not done anything since what?
Since teams have started to defend him.
Oh, right. I mean, you double team him, and it's stupid because, I mean, Tyler Boyd, you would think he'd get more love, just because Burrow's, he's familiar with him. But Higgins, it's been a Higgins show. I mean, not to say you didn't think Higgins would get involved, but yeah, man, what a fall from grace. Jamar Chase. I'm quoting my boy Dave Kluge. Since week 8, Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 39 in fantasy points per game. He's getting outscored by Amon Ross St. Brown, Michael Gallup, Teddy Wilson Jr., Russell Gage, Kendrick Bourne, and of course T. Higgins. That ain't pretty. You don't love that.
T. Higgins had 14 targets against the Chargers, 9 receptions for 138 yards and a touchdown. The week before that, 6 receptions for 114 yards and another touchdown. See, is this becoming like the Cowboys, where they have 3 stud wide receivers that you have to kind of roster on your fantasy league and then start, but not necessarily feel 100% comfortable in this?
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, I think so.
So Tyler Boyd, he has had let's see, last week, 7 receptions. Of course, it's still against the Chargers. 5 receptions, 7 targets for 85 yards. But Tyler Boyd is kind of the unloved child. He has definitely been the least productive wide receiver on the Bengals. I do not think he has earned the title of must start category. He is must roster, but definitely not must start.
Tyler Boyd's reliable. Like, he's, we're out of bye season now almost. But he's your classic. You plug him in, he's not going to shit the bed.
I really hope not. Unfortunately,
he's been shitting the bed, though, unfortunately.
It's 55 receptions for 500 yards. It's not.
That's gross.
We've digressed.
Maybe that is
from Chase to this guy. But Waddle, despite the guy's second overall in receptions. Did you guys know that?
Yes, you would be correct. He is second overall in receptions.
He's 36 in receiving touchdowns, so you don't love it. But on a year-to-year basis, these things vary. He could end the year, getting a couple touchdowns. Next year could be a big touchdown year for him. We don't know.
100 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Pretty good rookie season.
I think, you're pretty happy with that, even if he gets you 4.
Yeah.
It's a solid flex. If that's your flex, your team's pretty good. And I think I have to say, because I think it directly correlates to Tua. Tua's playing really good football right now.
He really is.
And because of that, it's just going to be a domino effect for the wide receivers. I'd like to see a little bit more to Gesicki and a little bit more touchdowns to Gesicki.
That'd be nice.
But right now, Jalen Waddle has been the beneficiary of Tua playing pretty good football right now.
I think it's been mutual. I think Waddle's helping Tua, Tua's helping Waddle.
For sure. I mean, the guys, they've both been super hyper efficient. Tua's completing 80% of his passes right now. He's been quarterback 7 since week 11. So small sample, but I mean, he looks great on paper. He's not really doing it for you in like fantasy, but in actual football, he looks like it. And he, schedule, I don't have it in front of me. I don't think it's that great, but we're just talking about football right now. The guy's definitely been turning around, and for fantasy purposes, that's why Waddle's just killing it right now.
Mm-hmm. For a team that's on a 5-win streak, I think you look at the stat line, it directly shows Tua and Jalen Waddle being elite and playing at elite level at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Now, our last one. Nader, you were wrong about Antonio Gibson.
Okay.
But 100% right about Laviska Shenault.
I will definitely ride the Laviska Shenault train as far as it will take me.
Yeah.
as far as it'll take me. The Antonio Gibson one, he has definitely played a lot better than I expected. But this is also expecting and anticipating Fitz Magic being the quarterback. Once Tyler Heineke became the quarterback, I think it changed a little bit. And for a while, Antonio Gibson has not been playing well and was not playing well. It is only recently, in the last 4 games, he's had rushing yards of 88, 111, 95, and then 64, but he had 2 touchdowns in that game. So, I mean, he has been a fantasy productive running back this season.
Yeah, very fair. James Cole, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, he did a DirecTV bit, which, at a conversation with him later, I was like, dude, this needs to be on 32-bit. But, he's signed contracts over there. DirecTV's got guy over there. He did a bit where it was like he's a cop and he's arresting people for trading, and this guy traded Antonio Gibson and got like CMC or something when, CMC, it would have been good to get him CMC and it was bad to get Antonio Gibson. And the reasoning was good. He was like, the guy's been putting up 8.4 points per game. That's theft. And the guy gets arrested. And of course, the week later, and since then, Antonio Gibson has just been a way different back. So as Nader's been saying, like he wasn't good. Like he was Jordan Howard-esque. He was just getting touchdowns. And I mean, it took an injury for him to kind of start seeing more work. And kind of breaking a couple tackles and stuff. I want to see more of it though for me to completely buy in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he has 5 touchdowns this season so far, and they have come in 3 games. He has against Tampa Bay 2 touchdowns, the Saints 2 touchdowns, and Atlanta a touchdown. Other than that, I mean, last year he had 11 touchdowns, so it has been a regression from a fantasy perspective.
What that tells me is he's been fantasy relevant without necessarily scoring, and that's always good news.
It is good news. I mean, it's all come recently. Half of his yards have come in the past 4 games, to be fair.
Yeah, I guess if you bought in on him at the right time, then fill your boots. It's a bit like Jamar Chase. If you sold him high, you're absolutely laughing now. That's the ebbs and flows of the fantasy game, though.
I got 3 first picks for Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle.
Total. So you gave away both of them and got 3 first rounders?
I gave away Jamar Chase and I got Jalen Waddle and 3 first round picks.
Ooh.
That's daylight robbery.
Mm-hmm. That is. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But
There
I will ride the Laviska Shenault train as far as it will take me. I was 100% right about him.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't go back and listen to last week's episode with Nick filling in your boots, but I think you would have appreciated my Shenault commentary last week.
You know what? I'll have to re-listen and listen more carefully to make sure I pick on that.
I will repeat it word for word for you now, so you don't have to. It's an excellent episode, so go back and listen to it. And I would argue that he and I have much more chemistry than you and I. But
wow,
maybe that's a discussion off field. Maybe we could be sort of a fantasy throuple. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. But
the shit.
My entire Laviska Shenault analysis from last week was he's shit, and I stand by it.
There we go. You know what? I wouldn't even want to stand by it because it smells bad.
You might get it on your shoes.
Hey,
might get it on your khakis.
You're like shit by association. You don't want that.
With you. Well, something that is not shit by association, certainly as a person who is closely associated with this shit, is Nader's wise words of wisdom.
I had something very nice for this, but I think my wise words of wisdom now is changed to please know when your penis is getting touched.
Hey, man, sometimes you don't know. True story. I was taking a test one time in college, and I thought this professor was trying to be nice, and
Your Honor.
He touched my penis.
Sounds like he was trying to be nice.
He lost his job. It was a very traumatic moment. It was sorry to take you to that dark place with me, but it's a true story, guys, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know when your penis is going to get touched.
That's good advice. That's why you should always wash it.
You should definitely always, or just keep it dirty for when people want to touch it, and then they're like, "Hey, that's a dirty penis. I don't want to touch that," or it smells. But then you want ladies getting in there, so I don't know.
It's a fine line.
It's a very fine line. I love how puzzled Nader is after all.
Because I'm sitting there like, I thought I made the dark jokes. I thought I was the edgy one here. Like I'm getting outbeat right now.
Yeah, who's coming to touch your penis?
It's happening right now. You don't know. See, you don't know when your penis is going to get touched.
Good penis talk, guys. Good penis talk.
I'm glad we talked about it.
Hoping you
right.
guys leave a review.
What else? Okay, so how do I move on from this? All right. Okay, fancy transition inserted here. All right, so handcuffs and backups. Right in front of me, we have the depth chart for all 32 teams, and we're just going to drill right through it. People that you want to own, people that you want to have, people that you want to look forward to owning for your playoff run right now. Of course, we're speaking to the champions right now. Since you all listen, you're probably all champions, and I'm hopeful that you guys listen to our pre-draft advice, because I just want to say, out of the 10 leagues I'm in the playoffs for 8 of them. I just want to say there's already an asterisk in 8 of those 10 leagues. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm touching their dicks.
Alrighty. You know what? I want nobody to ever complain about the stuff I say about here, because it's nothing anymore.
It's nothing.
It's nothing. You know what? I might as well just drop that. Sheahan, we talked about a specific hypothetical. I feel like it doesn't matter anymore. Like we've crossed that border.
I know exactly what you mean. I will never stand in your way of asking that question again.
Oh man, shoot away.
You know what?
Penis talk, shoot away.
No, we're going to save it. We're going to tease it, and we'll save it for a future episode when we have a guest.
You're going to give me
when we're in polite company.
Okay. All right. I think we crossed over to the I don't know. Will Barstool accept this, or are we too edgy for them?
I was going to say, I don't listen to Joe Rogan, but I assume it's a lot of this.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
And we didn't say anything homophobic, at least.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Just rip the Band-Aid off at this point.
Oh, man.
Just do it.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed.
All right, so in front of me is the list of the depth chart for every team that we're looking at right now. I'm starting it off with the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Josh Allen. Well, let's talk about handcuffs real fast. Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, and Zach Moss. I talked about it earlier, and I'm going to stand by it. I don't think there's anybody worth owning on this team when it comes to the running back room.
I will say Breida is the only guy I would want, and I kind of would only want him if the rest of the guys get injured.
That's asking for a lot. I mean, so 2 weeks ago, Zach Moss was a healthy scratch. Matt Breida got some work. He was able to get a couple touchdowns. He was fantasy productive. He looked good. He looked like the best back that they owned. And then this week against the Patriots, all 3 running backs were active, and Breida didn't really do that much. Now, granted, it was an odd game with how windy it is, and I'm sure the Bills thought that, hey, we're probably going to have to ground and pound a little bit. We're going to have to get dirty. We're going to have to jump in that pile and really push it if we want to win. Obviously, they did not do that, and they lost. I do want to say I think it was a one-off game. I think next week Zach Moss is inactive, and then it becomes the Matt Breida, Devin Singletary show. But that still does not fill me with confidence starting a running back on the Bills.
I agree. For the sake of the show, you're leaving these guys on waiver unless you're in such a league that you just have so much deep roster spots. Then I'm fine with taking Breida. Otherwise, I agree with you. Leave all these guys. You can drop all of them.
Breida's the only one I'm interested in. I think he should be rostered. But yeah, unless there's an injury to one or both of them, I'm not really interested. I think they're going to start to run Josh Allen a bit more,
which I'd be fine with. Josh Allen owners have been a little bit disappointed with his rushing potential that hasn't been there.
Or lack of it.
Exactly. So I'm hopeful Josh Allen can start picking up about 50 rushing yards per game to really add to his fantasy potential. Now, looking at wide receivers real fast, Stephon Diggs, of course, he's must own, must start. There's no doubting it. There's no complaining about it. You set and forget for him. Whether he disappoints you or goes off for you, that's a different story. But he's set and forget at this point. Emmanuel Sanders has been completely disappointing since his bye week. Actually, since their bye week, Emmanuel Sanders has been a disappointing, trash, terrible. I don't know any other adjectives.
Yeah,
like it's just been bad. It's yeah, exactly. Like shit. That's basically exactly what he's been.
It's been a penis, not boring.
You're not touching his penis.
No.
So
I would never dare try to touch Emmanuel Sanders' penis. He'd beat the shit out of me.
Probably same.
Yeah.
So I mean, Cole Beasley, I still wouldn't really want to roster him or start him.
No, I've got no interest in Beasley's been fairly rubbish this year. I've got no interest in him. I feel like if you are needing to swing for the fences to win a playoff game, you could do worse than Emmanuel Sanders. Like I'd rather roster and start Sanders than Beasley if I needed a win.
If it's full point PPR,
you want that ceiling. I don't think Beasley has it.
Yeah, I think Beasley's ceiling is a touchdown, 6 catches, 40 yards at this point. It's pretty good if he gives you all of that, but I don't know if you can really get all of that. So I'm fine with leaving these guys on the bench as well, these pass catchers. Unless it's Diggs, and even Diggs, I mean, like you're starting him, but I don't know how confident you're feeling starting him rest of the season. I mean, we talked about him earlier in the season that he was going to be the Diggs that you hoped for, and ding, shit, we were all right on them. I don't think there was one of us that were high on Diggs earlier this season, thinking that we said he'd be a number one, but not the number one you wanted, not top 3. He's been more like 12 to 14, 15, so I don't even know if he's the number one receiver. He may not even be one. I think he probably is, but I don't have it in front of me. But
so what you're saying is you might not want to be touching Diggs.
I may not, but yeah, I may not want to be touching Diggs. I may not want to. I mean, you have to though. You got to touch him.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're moving on from the Bills now, and moving on to the Miami Dolphins. We're going to stay in the division. I'm probably just going to go in divisional order as I see fit. Myles Gaskin. I want to talk about him real fast. I think the Dolphins have a bye week this week. I don't think they play, so you might have to find a Myles Gaskin replacement. But when it comes to this team and this roster, you're looking at Phillip Lindsay. I don't want him. Salvin Ahmed. I don't want him. And then there's our boy Patrick Lard, and I know I definitely do not want him. So I think this goes. I think this goes basically with the Bills, where Myles Gaskin, he is rosterable and he is startable. He's not a confident start, but he's a running back that is currently the starter for the team. So by default, you kind of have to own him and put him in your lineup when you have the ability to do so. He's an uncomfortable flex, but he's definitely a flexible person.
Is he a flexible person? See, we can't. We're trying to get away from stuff, Nader, and you keep inserting stuff back in there. Miles, sure. Savon, yeah. You can't really do anything. I want to see more from Duke Johnson, just because I like Duke Johnson, the person and the player. He's from Miami. Yeah, he's from Miami. So he was home when they needed another back. And he made the team, but I want to see some run from him in Jared Oaks, actually. Everybody else we've seen, but as long as this team can win games, and they're currently, I mean, they might make the playoffs at this point. I mean, they won their last 5. So Tua, we talked about him. He's been looking good. I don't think these guys will be fantasy relevant, but Jared Oaks, I think if they start to lose games, he's somebody I'd want to keep an eye on. But yeah, as long as they're trying to win games, it's going to be Gaskin.
I think Patrick Laird, or as Nader calls him, Patrick Lard, is worth rostering in Dynasty. I think he's got a little bit of juice. Ahmed is probably the only one I'd be interested in here. To be honest, Gaskin should be on a roster. I would feel less than not confident about starting him. Really, it's Waddle and maybe Gesicki. But I think even at this point, you could get a better option than Gesicki. It's Waddle or nothing for me in Miami.
Oof.
I think due to the lack of tight ends, Gesicki's must start at this point. Now, I'm looking at Devontae Parker real fast because Gesicki, in my opinion, is must start. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. And I don't want to bore everybody on Gesicki. Devontae Parker has played 6 games this year, and he's rocking 400 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Are you worried about him? I mean, at this point, he's rosterable, but I don't want to say startable. I wouldn't put him in my lineup.
I think he's a flex. I think he came back and gave you 11 points in the PPR. I don't know if he caught any 40-yard bombs. That's where
he's caught one 40-yard bomb against the Colts.
So he's not really. I don't know if Tua can throw down the field. We've seen him do it twice to Mac Hollins. I think that can be Parker. I think that's Parker's role. Fuller, obviously, we can't count on him the rest of the season. And Waddle's going to be right in that short area, but he can go down the field as well. So I like Parker a lot. I think it opens up more for Waddle, but I think you can flex Parker. I think he's been flexible before he got hurt. He was actually pretty good for you. But again, if you're talking about, we've got so much injuries at this point. This is drop season. You're dropping the guys that you're not using. Parker, I think, is usable. I think he's the guy that could come in and hurt you if you do drop him. If somebody's hurting, like we did the same thing with MVS. Like you're picking MVS, even if you're not starting him, you're going to pick him up because he has a decent rest of the season. And you don't want him to go off against you thinking like, oh, this person has nothing at flex. And they put MVS or they put Parker in, and then he goes off or gets 26 points or something like that, and you just weren't expected, but he's capable of it.
MVS is capable of that. I don't see Parker being capable of that big blow-up performance. Like 11, 12 points, I think, is his cap. It's like maybe 6 catches for 60 yards. Maybe he has maybe a touchdown. He, to me, just doesn't suit Tua, and I'd always rather, particularly in playoffs, kind of shoot for the moon with that last flex spot if it's a choice between safety and not. I'd rather go down swinging.
Right now, a lot of people are fighting for their playoff spots. Your flex is open. Devontae Parker's there. Are you putting him in your lineup?
If I don't have anything else, I mean, he's got the Jets week 15.
Okay, Odell Beckham, or Parker? Beckham.
So I'm gonna say Beckham, but I don't think they're that far apart, to be honest with you.
Brandon Cooks,
Parker,
Jarvis Landry,
Parker. Jarvis Landry had his best game because it was his birthday.
Okay, let's see. Go one more. DJ Moore. No, DJ Moore wins that one.
And he can't do him. I would say maybe Julio, since he's another guy coming back, or Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
I would, they do Nick Westbrook-Ikhine over Devontae Parker. How about Brandon Ayuk? I think they're close.
Yeah, I think all those guys are in the same breath. Those 3 especially.
I think I'd rather go Ayuk.
And I think I would rather go those guys too. But I still feel like Parker's in that breath. So if he's on the last tier of it, where it seems like that's the consensus here, where I'm a little bit higher on him. But if you're just blocking, and that's kind of what we're talking about too, if you got a roster spot and you don't want somebody to put him in because injuries have been so devastating, say a guy lost AJ Brown, he lost Debo, and he doesn't have anything, and he throws Parker in his lineup, that can hurt you. So if you have opportunity to pick up a guy and drop one of the guys that we talked about, Singletary, then you're pretty much blocking. He's not going to start Singletary, over one of his better running backs. Is he going to flex Singletary over Parker? No, he's going to start Parker over Singletary. So that's where we're thinking that too. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit more higher on him. Like, I don't want that guy being inserted in somebody's lineup, especially when he's got the Jets week 15.
Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't start Parker, but I'd rather he be on my lineup than somebody else's lineup. Kind of like,
or bench.
Yeah, exactly. Like kind of like Tyler Lockett. I don't want to go against Tyler Lockett because he can go off. but he could also do nothing. But that inconsistency and that potential scares me. So if Tyler Lockett is available, which he's probably not, but I'm just kind of using him as an example.
Right.
I would rather him be in my lineup, not starting lineup, but on my bench to make sure somebody else can't do it against me. I think that's a fair assessment. Now let's move on from the Dolphins and let's move on to the Patriots real fast because they actually have a little bit more of an interesting running back room. I mean, Damian Harris, he played well. He had that nice 64-yard run against the Bills. I just want to talk about that real fast. Like the Bills know what they're going to do. The Bills know, like they're running the ball and they're only running the ball. How they allow Damian Harris to have, what is it? Over 86 rushing yards in the first half and then over 188 yards total. I think as a team total rushing, I think that's wild and crazy that the Bills allowed that to happen. Anyway, Damian Harris. Yeah.
It's what's going to happen on one play.
It happens.
4 yards, one play.
The safety overcommitted on that play. And
I can't
Harris
believe it.
got back inside.
Exactly.
I lost money because of that.
It'd be that way. Actually, I won a week because of that. So you know what, Damian Harris, I appreciate it. So Ramondre Stevenson, he's the handcuff. That's it.
Right.
No, he's the starter.
Oh no.
He is the starter. I feel like that you want. I think you want him over Harris because of the rest of the season. He has the fresher legs. He's the bigger body. There's 2 seasons. There's the first season and there's the rest of the season. And we're in the rest of the season. Bill Belichick knows that more than anybody. He's not going to use a bunch of backs that he doesn't trust. He trusts Stevenson at this point. He trusts Harris. I think you're going to see more of Stevenson because he is a big back. But where do we pivot next then?
Stevenson had forced 9 missed tackles against the Bills. That's an incredible number. And he has something like 2/3 of his yards after contact. Like he is an absolute beast. He's a hard man to tackle. That's what I like about him. I think Bolden is worth a roster spot, but I'm not starting him unless either Harris or Stevenson are injured.
I'm not going on Brandon Bolden. I think I want Damian Harris and I want Stevenson. I would rather have Damian Harris. I mean, obviously neither of them are pick upable. So I mean, and Stevenson's roster, and Stevenson, he's probably picked up in a majority of leagues. I can't imagine too many leagues where he's on the bench. So Brandon Bolden, I'm gonna assume he's probably last left. I'm going no. I'm more looking at the wide receivers at this point, and I'm looking at Kendrick Bourne.
Yep, he should be on a roster.
He should be on a roster.
Some guy named Jacob Johnson, who's 26-year-old. He's 6'3", he's 255. Is his 3rd year in the league. I haven't seen him at all. I mean, he's just a fullback, but I'd be interested to see if they start to, incorporate somebody else. You're not going to pick up anybody. You're not going to pick up this guy, but just for the sake of throwing random names out there, I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, Johnson's a good blocker, but he can't run with the ball. He's from Germany. Fun fact. Jakob Johnson.
Cool. Jakob, okay, there we go.
Jakob, yeah, because it's J-A-K-O-B.
Yeah, the K, yeah, that makes sense.
Jakob.
Yeah, I should have known that.
I'd rather have Kyle Juszczyk if we're talking about fullbacks going out there, but
we do not
have
enough time left in this show to talk about fullbacks.
Exactly. We talked about a lot of other things that we should not have talked about. We're just going to have to. We're moving on. So Kendrick Bourne, I'm starting him. He's the only one I'm starting on this roster, and the only one I think is worth rostering. I think Jacoby Myers is not a person you want to roster because he's not going to start over you. And if your opponent starts Jacoby Myers, I'm fine with that. I'd rather have Jacoby Myers being started than Devontae Parker, Tyler Lockett, and all those other receivers that we talked about. Because I mean, what's Jacoby Myers going to do to you? He's going to get 4 passes, maybe 50 yards. He's not scoring a touchdown. He scored 1 touchdown off of a fluke. He's not doing another one. So Jacoby Myers, leave him on the waiver wire. All right. So Jets, do you own Elijah Moore? If yes, you start him. If no, don't worry about the Jets. All righty. Moving on from the Jets. AFC North. Baltimore Ravens. I'll make this fast. Do you own Lamar Jackson or Devontae Freeman? Cool, you start them. Do you own Marquise Brown? Cool, start him. Other than that, all righty. We're moving on from this.
You don't want to talk about Nate McCrary?
I have to hold myself back. That's why I don't want to talk about him, because if I do, we're going to be here for a really, really, really long time.
Fair enough.
I will add in an addendum to that.
Okay.
Rashad Bateman should be rostered, but do not start him.
Ew. You know what? He's also in the Jacoby Myers spot. I would like my opponent to start Rashad Bateman against me.
I would as well.
I'd rather him blow up on my bench than in someone else's lineup.
He's not going to, though. See, that's the thing.
Not this year, but for sake of, I'd rather have.
I heard
else.
your mouse. I heard your mouse. You're looking at his stats right now. I heard the mouse. Let's look at his phenomenal 80-yard gain against the Dolphins, where they lost after the first half, so they had to throw the ball. And other games where they majority won, let's see, 1 target against Pittsburgh, 1 target, 0 receptions, 0 yards. Wow, against the Cleveland Browns, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 6 targets against the Bears, 5 targets against Minnesota, 5 catches, and then 6. It's, I don't know. When we talk about people with high ceilings, Rashad Bateman's not one of them.
Here's a guy I want this week over Rashad Bateman, KJ Osborne.
Deal.
Devontae Parker.
Deal.
He's not even playing.
I'd still rather start him.
All right, we're on to the Bengals. We're on to Cincinnati. How did I
on to
miss that one?
Cincinnati? Yeah, there we go. Nice job. So Joe Mixon's currently questionable right now.
Unfortunately.
Samaje Perine should be rostered.
Exactly. Samaje Perine should be rostered. Chris Evans,
Yes.
should be rostered.
Yes.
Besides having a cool name, but see, he has a name with 2 first names, Chris and Evans. Evans can be a first name.
Can we trust?
Who do you know called
No, you
Evans?
I have a coworker. His name is Evan.
Actually,
I have a coworker. His name is Evans. I just want to
Evans?
put it out there.
I know Evan, not Evans. Like if you're Evans, that's weird. Like you're few Evans, you're plural Evans.
Evans
just that cool.
Dando.
Evan plural.
One was just not good enough for him. He had to become an Evans.
Apparently,
So,
yeah.
I don't trust him anymore. But that being said, if Joe Mixon is not playing, they both need to be rostered. And you know what? I would consider starting them, especially because they're going against the San Francisco 49ers this week. And their run defense is a little suspect, especially in the red zone, where you have potential opportunity to actually put up fantasy points from your running backs. I highly recommend going after both of them. I highly recommend rostering them to make sure somebody else can't. And if the opportunity arises, I would definitely put them in my starting lineup.
I wouldn't want Evans over an outright backup or a second stringer, but yeah, I mean, I'd rather Evans over, let's say, anyone on the Jets. So yeah,
Salvin Ahmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do kind of like Ahmed.
I do, but I think we all like him. But does the team?
No.
No, probably not.
No. So I'd rather have Chris Evans over him. Wide receiver wise, we discussed this wide receiver card. We don't need to do it. They're all rosterable. Tyler Boyd, I wouldn't start him, but they're all rosterable at this
Right. You're
point.
still keeping. You're still playing defense with him. You don't want to drop him.
Yeah.
Exactly. So on to the doo-doo Browns. See the unfortunate part is they're playing against the Ravens this week, and the last time they played against the Ravens, that went horribly wrong for Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, and everybody else. Actually, Jarvis Landry had a good game, but everybody else definitely did not. So, everywhere from Dearness Johnson is rosterable. Kareem Hunt is flexible. Nick Chubb is must start. Jarvis Landry is wide receiver 3 to flex. I think he deserves a starting spot.
Yeah.
You're never going to start Jarvis Landry.
See, I would agree with you, but now Marlon Humphrey's on the Ravens. He's out for the rest of the season. So
You're still not going to start Martin Landry. He's just not. He's like who's the other guy we were talking about? That
Devontae Parker.
No, somebody that's
Cole Beasley.
Yes, he's Cole Beasley.
No, I give Jarvis Landry a little bit more of an edge. He has less competition.
Yeah, he has younger
I'm starting
guys.
Landry.
I feel like he, other than this the last 2 games that he came off of, and one of them was his birthday. He hasn't been usable. Like you haven't been able to use him at all. He's been trash all season, other than his birthday game in week 1.
I wouldn't mind it. I definitely could see you pivoting away from him in your starting lineup, but you're not dropping him. That's for sure.
I want somebody to start him.
You'd want somebody to start against.
Trojan horse.
I can get behind that. You know he's probably not going to absolutely destroy you, but I think he has a safe floor, which is why I wouldn't mind him in
Fair
somebody else's starting lineup. But then again, I definitely would not mind playing against Jarvis Landry if I had the option. All right, so let's move on to the Steelers, who finally figured out throwing to Deontay Johnson is actually a good thing. So they actually put a stat that Deontay Johnson has only dropped 1 ball this whole year after, I think, like almost 100 targets.
That's crazy.
And then 5 minutes later, he dropped a 42-yard touchdown. Anyway, that made me a little sad. He did score 2 touchdowns to make up for it, but I mean, that 3rd touchdown for 42 yards would have been kind of nice. Najee Harris must start. We all know that. Benny Snell, Honestly, like this is a running back room where after Najee Harris, it's kind of trash.
Yeah, I don't want any of them.
Yeah, I don't want any of them. Like, yeah, they all kind of suck. All right, so
I don't want to be around anymore.
Yeah. Say Chase Claypool is unable to play. Are you starting James Washington?
Unable to play pool. Yeah, I'm starting Washington. Actually, I quite like Ray McLeod. If there's an injury to Johnson or Claypool, I'd rather start Ray than Washington.
Ray, coolest name in the book. I just have to say that. One of the coolest names. If you have a cool name, you're automatically rosterable in fantasy football.
McLeod, like Marty McLeod.
You're starting
Pat. A movie name.
You're starting Pat Freiermuth, by the way.
Absolutely.
He is. Yeah, he's deserved that. He actually gets a nice amount of targets. He gets looks. He gets red zone looks. I really like Pat Freiermuth. He's cool.
Let's throw it back to the start of the season where you said I don't give a fuck about Pat Freiermuth.
Let's keep everybody honest and accountable. Let's do it.
You know what? Opinions change, and it has changed. The situation has changed because there was an Eric Ebron there. Now he's not there anymore. Anyway.
You know what I like about Freiermuth? No one knows anyone whose first name is Freiermuth.
No one knows anyone.
No, he's named Pat Freiermuth, but no one knows anyone called Freiermuth, and that's like this isn't like one person knows someone called Evans situation. There's no one called Freiermuth, so you can trust him.
That is true. I can get behind that. All right, so let's move on from the north to the south. The Texans, the beautiful Texans, the beautiful state of Texas that I despise so much. Anyway. Tyrod Taylor. No, I'm not starting Tyrod. I'm not starting Duke Johnson. If you're not starting the starting running back, you're not starting the backup running backs. You're not even rostering the backup running backs. Yeah, Brandon Cooks. Okay, you could start him. Other than that, moving on from the Texans. Good talk, guys. Good talk. Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz. Yeah, I'm not starting Carson Wentz. Jonathan Taylor. He's kind of good at football. He might be worth starting. Naheem Hines.
Yep,
he's already rostered. There's no way you're finding him on the waivers. Marlon Mack, you're not starting or rostering the third string running back.
I'm actually okay with not having Hines and picking up Mack.
If something were to happen to Taylor, I think that Mack steps into that role.
But see, I don't think he does a good job. There's a difference between Jonathan Taylor and Mack.
Absolutely, but I mean, I think given the fact that I don't know, unless he's just one of these guys that, and he might just not give a shit anymore. He's just like, I'm buried behind this guy. I don't care. I'm just collecting a check. I feel like these guys have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They want an opportunity. They want to show people this guy's a meme on Sleeper. Other than that, that's it. Like that's he's most famous on Sleeper. Nowhere else.
Yeah. Even in the Mac household.
Yeah,
it's a good meme. I will say that
it is pretty good. I don't know who came up with it, but
I was there when it was born.
Yeah, you were definitely there. You were definitely there. I remember you were there. We probably banned you for it, and now everybody can say Marlon Mack, and
you did actually
banned for it.
I did get banned from the chat for that. I did. I got banned multiple times on multiple different chats. I don't agree with any of those bans. I think they were all unjustly justified. I don't like it at all, and I'm here to formally complain. But moving on.
I guarantee
Go ahead.
If you asked fans to name two football players with the surname Mack, they would say Khalil Mack and Vontae Mack.
Right.
That's how much Marlon Mack is not relevant.
Well, I'd say absolutely.
On a Jacksonville. Now, before
I assume we're saying Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman
start.
Yeah. Nobody else.
Hilton, I think they're not playing the Texans again. I think Zach Pascal should be in a roster.
Nah.
I'd rather him than Devontae Parker.
Really?
No.
Yep.
Why?
Call cap.
He bobs up. He bobs up. He more often in the red zone. Plus, I trust the color.
He bobs up. Bobbles the ball up.
He bobs up.
I like that phrase. Bobs up. Is that like
he bobs up in the red zone?
That's like
early
London
in the season.
slang?
Yeah, he just bobs up.
It sounds cool.
Yeah. Early in the season, he was like leading the league in red zone targets and targets inside the 10. They target him a weird amount and they use him a weird amount. And in what is ostensibly pretty good offense, I will roster him. And if push comes to shove, I would rather start someone on the Colts than someone on the Dolphins.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a better offense.
I'd rather somebody else start him against me, but that's going to be my personal preference.
Yeah, I'm going to leave him on waivers.
I'd rather pick up a
If
defense.
he's a priority. I'd much rather pick up a defense. I've got 3 defenses right now I'm rocking.
I don't blame that at all. I don't blame you at all for that. One for every week, especially in playoffs.
Yeah.
My only defense league, I'm rostering 3 defenses as well because 2 of them are the Texans and the Lions. So that's how well I'm doing there.
Exactly. All right. So moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars have somehow moved on from James Robinson, Carlos Hyde would nevertheless be the running back to own in this team. He might even be the starting running back after this week. I don't know what happened in Jacksonville. He even fumbled the ball, and James Robinson still did not touch the field. I don't know. Maybe it was because he was injured. I've heard they have a little bone to pick with James Robinson. I don't know. I'm not going to follow.
Seems personal. Yeah.
Seems personal. So Carlos Hyde, he should be rostered, and potentially, I wouldn't do it this week. I want to see what happens again, but if he's getting the bulk of the carries, you're putting him in your starting lineup, especially over James Robinson. You can't do that anymore. It's the playoffs. You start the better running back. Wide receiver wise, though, you are going to roster and just start shit out of Laviska Shenault. Like if you own Cup, take him out.
Treadwell.
Yeah, like this is a stacked wide receiving core. I don't know.
Vaughn Austin.
I think the NFL has to step in and make sure that this does not happen again, where so many good wide receivers go into one lineup. Cooper Kupp has nothing against Shenault. Take Cooper Kupp out, put Shenault in, and just get the free win, because that's exactly what it is. Alrighty, I am disgusted by looking at this team. Let's go to the Titans.
Let's go. I would say James O'Shaughnessy is one of the only guys who could be a guy that you're dusting off if you don't have anything at tight end, and he could be useful for you. Week 15, he has the Texans. Week 16, he has the Jets. So those are serviceable matchups as far as guys that, I mean, Agnew's not there. They just lost Dan Ardle. O'Shaughnessy led the team in targets, albeit it was only 6 targets. He only had 13 yards. But, I mean, out of the rest of these guys, again, Arnold's on injured reserve. They lost Agnew. It's the O'Shaughnessy show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Even as a Marvin Jones apologist, I can't tell you to start him.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so to the Titans. Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, he used to be must start for me. I don't know if I want to put him in my lineup.
He was supposed to be the guy that you could get that's a top 5 option for cheap.
Yes. So George kept telling us.
Yeah, so George kept telling us.
There we go. I mean, I was even on that train. I was even on that train too.
I hopped on for a second. I don't think I was on it. It made good sense. I was one of those people like, oh, that makes sense.
I had no interest.
I wanted Ryan Tannehill, but people were reaching for him to the point where I couldn't do it and I couldn't justify taking him. So I ended up with Matthew Stafford instead. It ended up working out phenomenally for me.
Look at that. Yeah.
It ended up working phenomenally, but I mean, that's not necessarily the point. I did like Ryan Tannehill. I mean, a lot of injuries happened that definitely stifled whatever he was trying to do over there. But, unfortunately, like we mentioned, that's how the cookie crumbles and that's how you adjust. So
milk.
Exactly. Make that chocolate milk. So Ryan Tannehill, you're not starting him. Deontay Foreman. I don't want to start Deontay Foreman. I don't even want to roster him.
You mean Donta Foreman? I think Donta Foreman and I think you kind of have to roster all 3 of these guys right now, meaning Jeremy McNichols, maybe not McNichols. We talked about a little bit of that last week, actually, and I think we were saying maybe you leave McNichols because we saw what he was doing and they saw what he was doing, and apparently it wasn't as good as what Hilliard's been doing.
Correct.
So Foreman and Hilliard seems to be the guy.
I'd rather have Hilliard.
I would much rather have Hilliard, but Foreman did get 19 touches and he did have over 100 yards. So it seems like they're just purely using him for rushing. And you take away that 68-yard run that Hilliard had, he probably still has about 65 yards because he had I think 168 or 128 that game on 12 carries. But yeah, he's obviously the more explosive guy. He's got that speed and make a lot of guys miss. But Foreman can definitely move the tackle. He's a guy that can move between the tackles a little bit and get some extra yards. He's going to be goal line. I won't be surprised if he gets you a 1 or 2 touchdown game one of these weeks. So I wouldn't drop either one of these guys because, again, talking about guys you can insert in your lineup that can hurt you, they could possibly can, and their matchup this week is phenomenal.
I like Hilliard. I'd start Hilliard if you didn't have any other options. If you have somebody like Myles Gaskin, who I think is on a bye, like I mentioned earlier, I'd put Hilliard in there and feel just as, if not more confident than Myles Gaskin, especially because Myles Gaskin, he's feast or famine in a bad way.
Yeah. And then as soon as Henry's fit, I assume you're just cutting bait with all these guys.
Yeah, if that happens, which I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in fantasy football season. Maybe not the NFL season, but the fantasy football season. Yeah, Myles Gaskin is on a bye. So yeah, I would definitely put Deandre Hilliard in. So wide receiver wise, Nick Westbrook, I don't want to say must start, but he's close in my opinion.
If Julio and AJ Brown are out, then he's must start. But Julio's designated to return from IR this week.
I think he helps. Julio helps Nick Westbrook-Akina quite a bit. I will say he's must roster. He should be rostered. If you're playing the league with more than 2 flex, he certainly could be the second flex for you. He's going to see the targets. Other than Hilliard, it's going to be NWI and Hilliard seeing the targets. They might throw in some of who's the new kid? Is it Newsome? No, Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Dez.
He's not much of a player.
No, he's not much of an. He feels like I don't know, kind of like a Russell Gage maybe, but not even
at his very best.
Right, like a poor man's version, But yeah, that's about it. It's not a good fantasy football team. I know we told you otherwise at the start of the season.
I'm over the Titans. I'll be honest with you. Let's move on to AFC West. Let's try to speed through everything. I know we've been here for almost an hour talking about shenanigans, so let's try to speed through a little bit. Devontae, Melvin Gordon, cool. They're owned in every league. It doesn't matter anymore. And then you have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick. You own them. I wouldn't start any of them at this point. They look like a disaster.
I think you start. Well, you may know Sutton and Jeudy, right? Should be on rosters, but
I think you could drop Sutton. Judy's borderline droppable in a redraft as well. I don't mind dropping these guys if somebody else wants to start them and think that they're going to do something else on your team that they didn't do on my team. Go ahead, have at it.
No, I'm good. To the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards, Darrell Williams. You own them, Williams, and that's about it. That's you're not going for Derek Gore. I'm sorry, you're not doing it. Tyreek Hill and McCall Hardman, no, don't even bother with that. I'd rather have Byron Pringle, and I don't even want him. So Travis Kelce, that's it. There's not much on the Chiefs.
I would say Blake Bell if Kelce gets injured. I actually did roster Blake Bell as a backup, just having a feeling, not wishful at all, obviously, because I have a lot of Kelce, but just having a feeling that I don't know if Kelce does miss time. I feel like he hasn't been that healthy this season, even though he's been the number 1 tight end for you. He's left a lot of games and came back off of just need, I think. So Blake Bell, even though Noah Gray's the rookie, I think Blake Bell would be the guy that would step in.
Yep.
I'm not confident about it. Let's move on to the Raiders.
I'm not confident at all.
The Raiders. All right, the Raiders. There's Jalen Richard. He's out. Payne Barber. And Kenny Drake, he was also out too. So it was actually the Josh Jacobs show last week. And Josh Jacobs has been a very good running back. I'm not going to lie. I like him a lot. Payne Barber, of course, he's going to be the handcuff. At this point, he's probably owned in a majority of leagues at this point. If not, he is definitely a must roster type player because he has been productive when Josh Jacobs has been out. Wide receiver wise, I'm sure everybody already owns Hunter Renfrow. If you don't, make sure to go out and grab him. In a league, I decided to have fun where I clinched playoffs and I started Deshaun Jackson. And guess what? It didn't work out for me. So I'm not going to recommend anybody do that also. I'm not going to recommend anybody start Bryan Edwards. I think he is a dynasty prospect that has absolutely failed. And I think he's definitely the equivalent of, I forgot his name on the Jaguars already. Help me out. Chanel, there we go. Yeah, that's how irrelevant he is in my brain. I think Bryan Edwards is a Chanel type person where we all think he's going to be great and not. He's not. Neither is Zay Jones. I wouldn't start Foster Moreau, the backup tight end to Darren Waller. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel any comfort with that. I think he is significantly less talented than Darren Waller, and that is why he is the backup. I'm not doing much on this team.
You guys want to see something cool? Zay Jones, watch him just do that little Michael Jackson thing when he got up off the ground. That's the coolest thing you're going to see. That's the coolest thing you're going to see from Zay Jones. You're not going to see anything else cool from him in the rest of his life.
Yeah. I will say Jackson should be rostered again if you want that. Need that swing for the fences, and you hope for 3 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then he still has juice.
I have a hard time. Like right now, this week, it's feast or famine, and you lose, you make lose. You're not in playoffs. You win. You're in playoffs. Are you really going to put him in your lineup?
It depends what situation you're in. Like, do you want to lose starting, I don't know, some fucking white bread, boring vanilla player, or do you want to go down swinging with Deshaun Jackson? Now, you can't be all Deshaun Jackson, and you can't be all Cole Beasley. But if you need to in and win over a better team, scared money don't make money.
No, but I don't want to put up like 3 points. He put up 1.5 points in half-point PPR league this week.
When that's 3 points is not going to be the difference between you trying to make up 30 on a team, then you can live with the 0. That's but difficult. I would rather hope for my players to go off than the other team's players to do shit.
You're hoping for that anyway.
Yeah,
I suppose.
All right, let's go for the Chargers, the unloved LA team.
What are these accents?
I don't know. It just popped in somewhere.
I like
they
that
just
one.
Come in.
His Charger.
That was like Chicago Bears saying, those just like Chicago Bears fans went to LA. The Chargers.
Something like that. Sometimes I try to incorporate a little Chris Bourbon. I don't do it nearly as good as him apparently.
The LA Chargers.
Yeah. Something like that. So Herbert, he's must start. Austin Eckler, of course. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about them. So Justin Jackson is the running back to own. Joshua Kelly is the equivalent of dog doo-doo. So is Larry Roundtree. So I made that easy for everybody.
Larry Roundtree's okay.
I think he's okay. I think it's early. I don't know if it's going to be this year. But if you have the roster spot, I don't mind him.
No.
I'd rather much have the other guys we talked about earlier.
Yes. Yep. Correct. Keenan Allen, of course.
Yep.
I mean, if he's not playing from COVID. Actually, let's assume Keenan Allen's not playing.
Well, if he's vaccinated, then he has a shot of playing.
He has a shot, but let's assume no. Just for the sake of purposes and realism, because so far no NFL player that has tested positive for COVID and has been vaccinated has played the following week. Still, none of them have. So let's be realistic. And
is that true?
I think so. I'm trying to think of one.
I feel like one player did it, and it was just like, "Oh, I COVID. Oh, psych, I don't."
Well, then it was a false positive. I don't know.
Yes. That's true.
But let's assume no. Mike Williams, he has entered must-start category. Now I'm looking at a guy named Jalen Guyton.
He's re-entered. He had a real lean patch for a bit there.
That's what
Mike Williams was not startable for a long stretch, and to keep it 1,000 right now, he might be back there. I don't know. I mean, he's had one good game, right? Or I mean, he might have had more than one good game, but I feel like he's had one good game since he's had good games.
He's a matchup guy for me. Like, if you look at who he's playing on, like he's a big size guy. If he's on a big corner, you can't start him. Like, JC Jackson towed him up. JC Jackson does that to everyone, but he especially did it to Mike Williams.
But like, when has that not been expected out of Mike Williams? I feel like if you expected him to be consistent, that's your fault.
He was early in the season.
Not necessarily. He had a good first 3 games, and then the fourth game against the Raiders, which you would think is a phenomenal matchup for him, considering they can't guard. They can't stop a nosebleed. He was 1 reception on 4 targets for 11 yards. So that lost you the week, and then the next week after that, he put up 165 with 2 touchdowns. And then guess what? The next week after that, 27 yards, 19 yards, 58 yards, 33 yards, and all of a sudden he went to 97 yards. He's just inconsistent. He's been there.
Even with the good matchups against Minnesota, he only got to 7 points. So I mean, it's a struggle. I know he's got the Giants this week, and obviously this week you're starting him. but we're talking about playoffs, right? We're talking about the rest of the season.
Exactly.
Yes, you're gonna have him. Yes, you're gonna start him, but I don't know how excited you're gonna be. If we're talking about pivoting guys, a guy that we had Gilbert Manzano on Beat, a show on 32-bit, and Dave Kluge had asked him a question: who's the dynasty guy that the dynasty guys like to talk about? And he said Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer's the guy that's been staying after practice with him, and that's the shit you want to hear. Like, I want to hear about the guy that's like following the quarterback around, hanging out with them. Not being annoying, but like being a friend, you know what I'm saying? And just like the quarterback genuinely wants to have him around, not just because it's like, hey, I want to be the second wide receiver, and I think this is the only way I'm going to be able to do it. Like CJ Uzomah did that, I think, with Joe Burrow, and it helped him a lot, actually. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't even made the team or something. He would still make the team, but I don't think he would have been as relevant. Exactly. Another one. These guys had breakfast together and all of this stuff. So, this shit matters, So, I mean, Palmer is one of those guys that I would want to look at if Keenan does miss time, or even this week. Palmer may. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm a big fan of Palmer. I'm not interested in really starting him. He should be on dynasty rosters. But for me, it's Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, not really anyone else interesting.
I'm gonna agree. I think if Keenan Allen's gone, that's just a little bit more of a bump for somebody named Austin Eckler. Now, all right, we're done with the AFC. We're done with the AFC. We're done. NFC East.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys. Tony Pollard. He's rostered in every league. It doesn't matter. We don't care about the handcuffs here. Corey Clement, no, you're not doing it. Wide receiver wise, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Amendola, but you're not doing anybody else other than that. I know there's Malik Turner. He gets some here. He gets some there. He's not fantasy relevant. You're not. Are you guys disagreeing or agreeing with me on this one?
No, I think it's just those three. Cedric Wilson was okay, but he needed 2 injuries ahead of him to be relevant.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you need the whole team for Simi Fehoko to be relevant.
Exactly. So to the Giants, Saquon Barkley. Okay, Devontae Booker. Yeah, he's the handcuff. You're here. Gary Brightwell. While his name is pretty bright and shiny, no, you're not going to roster him at this point. Kenny Gone all day? No. Darius Slayton? No. Sterling Shepard? Absolutely not. John Ross? You know what? He's the pet. No.
Not even I'm rostering John Ross.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard
roster
is the only guy that you can start if he's healthy. If Sterling Shepard is healthy, he averages 15 points a game, and I mean he's their number one wide receiver. He's the only one that has consistent rapport with Daniel Jones. But other than that, the rest of these guys you can leave on the bench.
Yeah. I'm not worried about that.
Don't pick up Jake Fromm either.
Oh man,
Jake from State Farm. All right. So Kadarius Toney, he's interesting. He's a big play guy, but he's just never hurt. He's just never healthy for this year.
Leave him on waivers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Philadelphia Eagles. On to the Philadelphia. So Jalen Hurts plays, you're starting him. Gardner Minshew Mania of the stash. Cool to see. Not starting him. Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard and Kenneth Gainwell. This is interesting because everybody except Boston Scott should be rostered, but only Miles Sanders, in my opinion, is startable because Gainwell, he plays a little bit, just not enough. Jordan Howard, he also gets carries, but not enough. Basically a handcuff.
Yep. No, I'm with you. And Devonta Smith. That's it.
Devonta Smith. I would say you could keep Minshew just because Jalen Hurts might have a high ankle sprain.
Let's see. Against the Jets, Gainwell had 12 rushes, 54 yards, and a touchdown with 5 targets, 5 receptions, and 33 yards. Now, that is a lot. I know Minshew is the quarterback, so you have to take it with a little bit of grain and salt. But, it's kind of nice. Something to look at. All righty.
Did you say grain and salt? And I realized I said I didn't want to get bogged down here.
Grain of salt.
Just wanted to check.
All right. There you go. That was so rude. All right. So, Washington football team.
Gibson, McLaurin, that's it.
Yeah. Gibson, McLaurin, cool. Do you have anybody else? No, there's no.
Jared Patterson, maybe.
He's a handcuff. Yeah, basically, you can have him.
Are you interested in Ricky Seals-Jones?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of am too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Logan Thomas. He's out for the year. They're tight end factory.
Yep. All right. That's fine. I'll get behind that. On to the Bears.
The Bears. All right. So Justin Fields, we don't care about them. David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. Yes. Khalil Herbert, you can have him. You can roster him.
and he's the only one, in my opinion, to do it. Allen Robinson is droppable at this point. I just want you to say it. It sucks to say it.
He's been droppable.
He's been droppable?
He's been droppable.
Darnell Mooney's it. All right, Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham. I think I'd rather start Jimmy Graham over Cole Kmet.
No, really?
Let's see, Jimmy Graham scores touchdowns.
Yeah.
The Bears don't, though.
Yeah, that
exactly.
Is true. You know what? You're not starting either of them. How about that?
No, you could leave both on waivers unless you're in a deeper league.
Cool story. All right, to the Lions. Congratulations on your first win, baby. Let's go.
Woo!
All righty. So I was wrong a lot of times in our prognostication report. What is it called? Did I say that right?
No, exactly. You nailed it.
There we go. Thank you. Because I consistently said throughout the year Lions would win. And the one time I don't do it, they win. Congratulations. All righty. So DeAndre Swift, I'm assuming he's not playing. Jamal Williams, handcuff, he must play him. And then, of course, it becomes with Igabwiki and Jamar Jefferson.
No,
I would rather have Jamar Jefferson.
I would rather the other gentleman. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name.
Yeah,
but,
see?
Godwin.
Yep.
Yeah, you said the first name, but I feel like that was cheating.
Yeah, you could just call him by his first name, Godwin.
Igabwiki.
We'll just call him Godwin.
All right.
Yeah.
Godwin, the
G-man.
The G-man.
So I know
GI.
We talked about Caleb Raymond a little bit earlier in the year. He fizzled out. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
The guy.
The sun god. I would definitely roster him. I don't know if I would start him just yet. He needs another good solid game of consistent targets and some production for me to put him in a starting lineup, but especially in the playoff environment.
I think you're either starting him this week or you're never going to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, that's fair.
Interesting, because we've not reconvened for a while. Josh Reynolds now on the Lions and looks good.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do it.
No, I wouldn't either. We haven't had a chance to catch up about it.
I remember Josh Reynolds, and I remember praising him heavily, and it's not turning out into anything.
Yeah, we were all in.
Yeah, I blame the Titans for that.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. To the Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads. AJ Dillon. Yeah, that's it. I'm not starting Patrick Taylor or rostering him. There's Aaron Jones. There's AJ Dillon. That's about it. And then, of course, there's Devontae Adams and MVS. Other than that, I'm good on everybody else.
Randall Cobb possibly should be rostered, but you're not starting him.
Nah, he's a keep away type player, but at the same time, if my opponent starts Randall Cobb, I wouldn't be too upset.
I think I'm all right with that.
Yeah. All right. So Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison. Yeah, Alexander Mattison is as far as I will go, and there's no chance you ever find Alexander Mattison on the waiver. So I think we can leave it at that. And then we have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen probably isn't playing this week. So we're looking at KJ Osborne, and I would be okay with that.
Yep. Purple Goblin absolutely should be on your roster.
There we go. Any dispute over there, Hus?
No, I like KJ a lot, especially this week.
All righty. So to the NFC South, we're going to the Atlanta Falcons. And the one time I say, you know what? I'm dropping Mike Davis in every one of my leagues.
Right.
He does well.
Yep.
He does well. I feel like it was, the way the cookie crumbles, and it is what it is for him. I don't want to start Mike Davis. He's keep away type now at this point. I think that's where his level is.
I think I actually probably I'd leave him out there. If you want to pick him up and you want to insert him in your lineup thinking he's going to do what he did last week, you go right along ahead. I think he's going to hurt you the rest of the season. So
right.
I don't even want to keep him away. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fair. All right, moving on to the wide receivers real fast. Russell Gage, I think that's it.
No, not even.
Not even?
I mean, Russell Gage on a roster, but I wouldn't want to be starting him. I don't want to borrow any of these guys.
To the Panthers, baby. Let's go. I like the pace we're at, with the pace we're moving. Cam Newton, I'm good. Chuba Hubbard, also kind of good. Amir Abdullah, also kind of good. I'll be honest with you.
I want Amir Abdullah of these running backs.
All right, that's fair. Chuba Hubbard had his chance, and he was relatively disappointing. I think Amir Abdullah needs his opportunity to shine for his fifth team where he finally can potentially do it. Wide receiver-wise, DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson, he is a keep-away type player. I'm not starting him. Terrence Marshall Jr., the Twitter hype guy, no, he's not rosterable at all.
I'm not even keeping Robbie Anderson away. Like, fucking pick him up and start him. Like, if anyone else wants him, do it. I don't care.
Who's any rebuttal?
No, I'm with that. I like it.
All righty. On to the Saints. Mark Ingram and Ty Montgomery. They are the handcuffs, I would say, but Mark Ingram is the only one that I would realistically want and actually roster. I wouldn't start him. No, he deserves a flex.
I'm interested in Montgomery because Harris is suspended for 3 games, but in reality, it's Callaway and Traquan Smith.
Yeah.
I feel okay about starting Callaway. I don't feel okay about starting Smith.
Nah, to be honest,
It's
I don't
kind of
feel
Taysom and bust, or Taysom or bust here without Kamara.
Yeah, if it's not Kamara, Taysom's the only one with value, and that's just because it's rushing potential. Other than that, I'm not really interested at this team at all.
Cool.
All right, so Tampa Bay. On to Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, of course. Ronald Jones is the backup and the handcuff. Giovanni Bernard.
I don't want him.
Yeah, I don't want him either. I'd rather somebody else have him at this point.
I think I'm fine with having Ronald just because Fournette's got so much work this year. So
Fournette has been a PPR monster, something I never expected out of him. And I think in the beginning of the year, you and I, Sheahan, we said we would rather have Fournette over Ronald Jones.
That sounds like something we'd say.
Exactly. It sounds like it. So, we were definitely correct on that one. I want to congratulate you. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. Mike Evans and Godwin. And then we got fake vaccine over here. He's probably gone.
Yeah, they're talking about waiving him possibly.
Yeah. Other than that, Tyler Johnson is worth a hold, but I'm not interested in him, I'll be honest.
I'd rather have Scotty Miller.
Scooter. Scott the Dick.
Yeah, no, that's good. I will just say, if something were to happen to Fournette, I think it's Gio Bernard.
Gio Bernard. Ooh.
I would love to see that. I love Gio Bernard. He's won me a lot of championships.
I'll agree with you there. I like him too. To the NFC West, the best division in football. Arizona Cardinals, baby. Let's go. James gone. Go ahead.
Yeah, Eno Benjamin. You want to be.
That's it.
Rostering.
That's it. If you look at wide receivers, it's DeAndre Hopkins, and that's it. I know Rondale Moore is a big name. He's done nothing.
No, Christian Kirk should be on a roster.
I wouldn't. But
I like Christian Kirk. I like him a lot. I think he's probably going to be next year. He's definitely going to be have even more value. But for this season, I think he was good when Hopkins was out. Albeit without the quarterback.
Well, yeah, I suppose Hopkins being injured or limited makes Kirk and AJ Green interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And AJ Green was kind of interesting before, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I'll leave it as Kirk should be rostered. I'm not putting him in a line.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Fair. All righty. Darrell Henderson to the Rams. Darrell Henderson, if he plays. So I know there was a report before the game that he was only going to be an emergency back. And I hope people read that report and actually took him out of the lineup, considering he didn't get any playing time, carries, or touches. And Sony Michel did most of the work. And they didn't really have to do that much work against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was kind of a sad game to watch. But Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham, they're the 2 wide receivers. I think they are basically must-start category. Then you have Van Jefferson.
Yeah, Van Jefferson is probably right there, I think.
He's a keep-away type player. That's where I'd go with it, keep-away.
I value Van Jefferson just as high as Odell.
Yeah.
If anything, I think they're probably 1B. I mean, 1B, or 1, Kupp is definitely the 1.
Yeah.
And they're like 2A, or even 2B, because maybe Kupp is 1A and 1B.
Maybe it's William Shakespeare 2B and not 2B.
There we go.
If you have a roster spot, and depending on how your league settings are, you rostering Cam Akers at this point, just in case?
Yes.
No.
I need to have the IR spot.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can park him on IR.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. There's no way they bring him back. They're doing fine without him. If so, there's no way Cam Akers comes back and resumes the starting role of him getting the bulk of the carries. That's it. Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel have entrenched themselves of having a fantasy impact, not a fantasy impact, but an NFL impact to the point where now Cam Akers has been declared not necessarily irrelevant, but he's not going to be that workhorse back.
I think he could be next year, or in the playoffs, obviously. If you have a IR spot, that's the only way I'd roster him. I wouldn't roster him if I didn't have an IR.
Yeah, but say Cam Akers comes back in your semifinals and he plays, you're not starting him.
But I still don't want him to come back and go in the other person's lineup. What if they're hurting at running back and they just caught an injury?
I'd have to see more reports of him having a realistic chance of coming back.
And remember, we're only talking about on an IR spot. So unless you have another guy in your IR that you'd rather have over him, that's on waivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a waiver spot, go for it. It's not a waiver, an IR spot, go for it. If not,
leave him.
No, leave him. Okay, so to the Niners, Elijah Mitchell, cool. These are all handcuffs. Every running back, Jeff Wilson,
they're all handcuffs.
Yeah.
Give me Jenny, don't be hasty there. Over Jeff Wilson.
Yep.
They still
Debo, Ayuk. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's cool. And then you have George Kittle. For fun fact, George Kittle has kind of done nothing for the past couple of weeks. So when I did my expert consensus rankings, I decided to be cute and completely take him out of the top 12. And this is definitely the week that hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, sometimes I like to get cute and just throw a random player like super high.
Yeah, so if you look at the expert consensus rankings, that hasn't been released yet, but I don't think it's going to be good for my tight end rankings. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good for my tight end rankings.
No.
So Adrian beat your son. He is now the starting running back for Seattle. Alex Collins and Rashad Penny and DJ Dallas, they're all handcuffs at this point. Pick your poison on whichever one you'd like. I'm going with none of them.
Yeah, they're just like Collins is just Mike Davis in a different colored uniform.
You're worse, maybe. Rashad Penny is just that's exactly what he's worth. A penny.
And Debbie does Dallas. Not much going on there either.
No, exactly. I think we nailed the head on that one.
Yeah.
And then, you go ahead.
I was going to say OnlyFans Metcalf. Obviously, you're rostering starting.
Yeah,
Lockett should be on your roster, and like if you're going to start him, just start him.
Wow, that's good advice. If you're going to start him, just start him.
No, I think you have to start.
I don't know if we're going to start him. Might have a bad week. Just fucking start him.
I think you have to start Lockett regardless.
Yeah.
As I look at his game log, let's see. He's getting targets. He has
log's been the right word for it.
Right. I mean, that's why you have to start him. I mean, he's getting the targets. He's getting the looks. He's not having a Lockett season. He's usually having more inconsistency, and he's been more consistent than he's been inconsistent this year. Actually,
he's been consistently mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, but when you did talk about flexes, that's kind of good, I mean, it's like,
Alrighty, I can get behind that. So he's a flex. Go for it. Any other wide receivers we're handcuffing? No, we're good.
No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, Russ just doesn't look like he's going to cook this season. No,
Russ's cook has gone out.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him in a different uniform next year. I hope he do for his sake, because he just doesn't look that happy over there. I'll be honest with you. Maybe that's just me.
No, he's done. He's cooked.
Hopefully we see him on a Washington. Yeah.
See you later.
Washington football team, maybe the Giants. Ooh, I could see him on the Giants.
Giants, yeah, get him in New York. He's a bit of a weirdo. He'd suit New York. No offense to us.
It's okay.
Maybe the Saints. Oh, he can go on the Saints.
Yeah, covering his eyes at Mardi Gras.
Oh, God. All righty. Maybe the Broncos. I heard they need a quarterback.
Yeah.
All right.
Who knows? This is a topic for another week.
Yeah, I know. Right now, we are definitely.
I can't remember the fucking teams in the league.
All righty. So that's going to have to wrap up this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed our TED Talks and our random phrases and the lines that we potentially may have crossed.
Maybe.
Of course, like I want to remind everybody, make sure to follow the SleeperWire Show on Twitter for all the news, articles, and episodes that get released and any update in between. Of course, I am Nader alongside Sheahan and Hus, and we're going to remind you, everybody, to have some good luck in your fantasy league.